We've already lost much time as it is.
Almost as soon as he finishes his statement, he stumbles, nearly falling back down. His hands slip down the shaft of his staff as he sinks to the ground. He gasps under his breath.
Are you all right? Is there anything we can do? I don't have much, but I could still clean and wrap it.
I take a few hurried steps closer, reach my hand out towards him, which he curls away from like a barn cat. He turns his gaze upon me and shakes his head.
I tended to it myself when you were still on the shore.
Moments ticked by as I stared at him, growing ever more nervous. As horrible as his injury is, the larger situation at play is dire for all. It is a weight bearing down on each of us, threatening to bring the entire group to its knees rather than our only lead. Stop it. We can't stay here.
Are you able to walk?
His eyes, he eyes his feet with gritted teeth and clenches his staff tighter.
Not like this.
A beat of quiet passes before he continues, his voice slightly ragged.
I have a way. It will be enough to get to the other side.
Shaking, he removes a hand from his staff and reaches into his cloak, searching for something. I have little other choice but to watch as he searches his pockets. The panic that we all thought was past starts creeping back in. He retrieves a small vial with a certain kind of liquid inside. Swishing it slightly as he holds it up, I peer at it curiously. Yeah. It's hard not to laugh at that.
Drinking this will numb the pain. I'll be able to ignore that my leg is injured for the time being.
But I analyze the vial hastily. I am pensive as I mull over the possible other effects it could have. Something that potent would be a miracle drug if there were no downsides along with the positives.
Is that safe? It must cause drowsiness or have some kind of impact on you. Not to mention, pushing your leg so hard when it's in that state could permanently ruin it.
He regards me as his lip twists partly into a snarl.
My leg isn't broken. It will heal without issue once I'm able to treat it. In order for that to happen, however, I need to live.
Jeez. I flinched slightly. He wouldn't usually snap at such a question. The pain must be truly getting to him.
What about side effects? You didn't say what they were.
Emil steps closer to the guide, his question harsh enough to be a demand. Emil's trust in the guide has steadily declined since the first night. With the way he's acting, I cannot ignore the sense that it may come to a head before the journey is over. The guide levels a deeply unimpressed look at Bemel. He then sighs, raising the bottle up so that it's more visible. He swishes it around almost impatiently.
It can slow reflexes and cloud the mind.
Ain't that a peach? Immediately, Bemil's eyes widen increasingly. Incredibly, whatever. Margaret quietly gasps, bringing a hand to her mouth. The guide heaves another sigh through the pain. It makes it sound more akin to a groan. He is still impatient with the group's delay as the time marches on.
I will only be taking half a dose. won't ease all of the pain. However, it will reduce the odds that I will be notably impacted by any adverse effects.
I know how you feel about others coming close to you, but is that truly the best solution to a situation like this? You need to be clear-headed here.
Margaret looks at the bottle and then at him skeptically. Ramil takes another heavy step forward. He meets the guide's eyes stonily.
No, you can't drink something like that. I'll carry you.
That won't?
I don't think you're about to have a choice. No. Yeah, no.
You have made it very clear that at the first inconvenience, you would leave us all for dead in the water. As you are now, that is impossible.
That's not a smart idea.
So, this isn't about any possible adverse effects. You want to leave me injured and immobile on purpose.
Emil shrugs, then returns to smirking almost cockedly. Oh no.
If there were no side effects, I likely would have thought nothing of it. However, mentioning those risks triggered something in my mind. You've never done what's best for the group, you only choose the safe option for yourself. With that in mind, I can't exactly trust you when you tell us that the medicine is truly our one option. Now, even if carrying you means that you will be more at risk than otherwise, I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
Emil chuckles diversely and rolls his eyes while spinning the medicine vial between his fingers.
I hope you're proud that I'm following your advised method of not considering others, Guide. There, he accepts it. What of you?
Nope. Margaret snorts slightly at the inquiry.
That stunt was so ill-advised, I never expected even you to attempt something like it. What if the guide had another bottle with him? We would have all been abandoned by now.
Yeah, okay, Emil needs to go. He's turning into a jackass. Well, he's also turning into a jackass.
I'd have taken that bottle too.
Margaret shakes her head at his response. However, she doesn't seem too upset over this. She seems more at ease than she has been for some time. Emil seems rather pleased by the reaction thus far, grinning widely at us.
If anyone is worried about my ability to carry the guide for the rest of the night, you shouldn't be. Rest assured, a willowy man like the guide won't slow me down whatsoever.
Oh no.
You are an absolute buffoon.
And this is how they're all gonna die. Because of this sad idiot. Yeah, that's my issue with that. He's being a complete asshole. All that matters is reaching the shore safely. What really is for the best in this situation? I'm sorry. I mean, I know the guide's an asshole and all. At least I have another save I can go back to if I screwed that up. Don't worry, if we die, I'll go back to the other one and choose the other way. His expression immediately falls when I say this. He stares down at the bottle in his hands dejectedly, or I don't know what that word. I sigh. I don't enjoy dashing his hope of not being completely at the mercy of the guide. However, this reckless behavior is more likely to get all of us killed. He cannot carry a man for this entire journey.
I'm aware that you have good intentions, but having a mutiny on our guide is going too far. Considering the state he is in, it's possible that his mind is clouded already because of the pain. What if he is no longer able to keep his eyes open after a while? If the guide cannot take care of himself, then he won't be of assistance to anyone.
Bamil scans me, and I can tell that he still has reservations over my argument. I can't blame him. The guide will not give up on his own life over some pain. Yet I stand by my reasoning and look at him firmly. Bamil looks at me and then back down at the bottle. The others start to grow nervous over our battle of wills.
Hand back the medicine. The guide won't leave us behind as long as we follow diplomatically. We all must cooperate.
We force our sight back on the guide, realizing he's become the center of attention. He haltingly gives us a nod. Bamil clicks his tongue a few times before doing as I asked, handing the vial back to its owner. I feel confident that the guide will continue to show us the way. However, Bamil starts to grow frustrated when the guide does not immediately speak, pressing his heel into the wooden board below in anticipation. The guide softly rests his forehead against the side of his staff. His eyes droop slightly as he relaxes his muscles briefly. He waits patiently for the medicine to kick in, forcing the rest of us to do the same. After a brief pocket of time, the guide's labored breathing steadies, and he slowly pulls himself up onto his feet with his staff as leverage. Despite stumbling slightly and trying to get up, the spike in energy he receives from the medicine is noticeable.
We must continue now.
He doesn't waste that strength communing with us further, instead turning his back towards our small group, and with that a brief statement finishes. He starts down the bridge. I can still see him limping. I cannot deny that it is worrying. He's already taken half the medicine. Would taking enough to properly walk be so much of a risk? I begin to follow after the guide, and the two with me follow behind, making sure to stay within the safe harbor of my light. Once I'm near him, I notice that he isn't becoming more stable in Gant. I ponder over whether I should mention my thoughts to him or not. I bite my tongue and let the thought go. Now is not the time to be making even more of a fuss. The guide knows how to manage these types of situations. Creating another decision will waste more of our time and accomplish nothing. It's already been settled, and I need to keep it that way. Our group moves at a much brisker pace than the previous night. After the exchange that just took place, the mood has sunk low into a murky pool. Not a word is exchanged between us. The only sound that accompany us are the whispers of the demons in the lake and the pounding of our feet hitting the wood. After some time, we encounter a strange bridge. The oddity is noticeable immediately. The boards bend inward and become far narrower than the other bridges we've come across. Yes, he got the medicine back. And goodness, Twitch needs to stop that. The Guide marches forward with no hesitation while the rest of us awkwardly halt in front of the unknown path. Calmly walks to the center of the boards. Halfway there, he begins to wobble. I suck in a breath as I can only watch. To my relief, the guide is able to steady himself and make it all the way across without another hitch. Now it's our turn. With only a single lantern shared between us, we have to be mindful of how to cross without leaving anyone in the darkness.
I will stay in the middle. One of you will lead while the other goes behind.
I made the choice to give it back. It was one of the timed questions. Because it's one of those things where, yeah, giving him the medicine might be bad, but also him passing out because of pain would also have been really, 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 really bad. So, if he dies, we can go back and choose another way. I ponder over what position to take. The person in front could potentially stall the others or bump us into it. So it seems important to sense someone capable of crossing without stopping. Yet, it may also be better to send someone who could possibly be left behind first to ensure that doesn't happen. I look over my two companions who also seem pensive over this decision. None of us want to make the wrong choice. I hope dearly to myself that we're exaggerating how dangerous crossing this thin bridge will be.
If no one has an opinion on the matter, I would like to go last. It would be easier for me to match someone else's steps than to walk without a lead.
Ramil nods and gives her a slight smile.
If that's the case, I will gladly go first.
With the ordering decided, the three of us carefully start to make our way across. First, Ramil steps onto the narrow bridge. A few seconds later, I follow after him. And after a pause behind me, Margaret also starts going across. As we inch our way across, something strange starts to happen. I notice the bridge starts to bend down to the right. I suddenly realize that the weight of all of us is stressing the support beams. The others have noticed as well, as the sound of alarm resounds from both in front of me and behind. I speak in a hushed whisper, trying to remain calm.
We need to focus on keeping ourselves centered. We can't let the bridge tilt.
That would be nerve-wracking. Think over our predicament. I can't leave Margaret behind. There is nowhere for her to go with no other source of light nearby. Yep. Bamil could try going by himself while we keep still. We aren't close enough to the guide for Bamil to remain in the light completely. However, with him only moving, hopefully the bridge will remain stable enough for him to cross it quickly. With him safe on the other side, we will have an easier time keeping the bridge from bending again. I can't be sure if it's worth the risk though. These concerns may be a knee-jerk overreaction to seeing a sign of danger. If all of us go slowly, it's possible we could still cross together.
I don't want to stay here. What if it breaks?
Those timed ones are...
Yes, we need to move forward. If someone notices the bridge bending at all, they need to slow and tell the rest of us. Stop! We need to rebalance.
Kind that's what I chose. I just don't think it was the best one, possibly.
Margaret!
Shit. Shit. Probably if we had let Bamil go forward, we would have all survived, maybe. I'm overwhelmed with feelings. My eyes fill to the brim with tears. Why? Why did this have to happen? Before I have any time to grieve, the guide's voice rings out on the wind from across the bridge.
You cannot stay there. You must keep going.
No kidding. I count my breaths in an attempt to calm myself. As long as I stand here, Bamil can't move. True. Either way, either one of them could have died. That just sucks.
I'm going to start walking again.
All right.
True. We were all here just a moment ago, and yet now, how could this have happened? Toby! Hey. Stop it. Stop it.
Forget what you saw. As of right now, nothing matters except for the fact that we have yet to reach the shore. Morning will arrive soon. We must continue.
I get why he's so cold, because it kind of has to be. I can understand the words. I need to keep myself together until I reach the shore, and yet it seems impossible to actually do. Everyone is being lost, one by one. I can't take it. Bamil places a firm hand on my shoulder. He tries to comfort me while mourning himself. The guide taps the base of his staff onto the boards, not allowing us to become lost in our sorrow. Mel levels a bone-chilling glare at him. Despite this, he lightly tugs on my shoulder, urging me to keep going. I manage to make myself take another step forward. My stomach twists as we simply have to move past the death of another person for a second time. It's so cruel. Margaret was so bright, so thoughtful. Even with her teasing remarks, she had so much to offer, and it was all lost in a moment. I'm so sorry. After hours of navigating the web of bridges, the faint still house of the shore creeps into view. It seems unbelievable that the end is in sight. Even that wisp of hope does little to ease the ache inside me. I feel hollow inside. Those of us remaining continue in the direction of the shore, and the darkness around us begins to break. A seed of worry sprouts inside me. Will we make it? The guide ahead seems to have no sign of concern on his face. I hold on to the hope that we will be able to make it through. We near the very end of the bridges. I can smell the trees and the earth, and even through the fog I can almost count the remaining bridges between us and the land. Of course, a prowler has to. Yeah. Between the end and us, a prowler appears. Bamil curses quietly as the prowler slowly, sloppily advances. I eye the monster intently. It makes no move to leave us, so I turn to the guide instead.
Here, take my lantern. Once it's scared off, we'll make our way to the shore. It shouldn't be an issue with it so close by.
The guide says nothing, however, he extends his hand to accept my offer. I feel my body tense for a moment before relinquishing my light to the guide. It's not much further. I'm sure we can make it. The guide slowly steps ahead. He and the creature brace for confrontation. Bamil and I stay close enough to the guide's back to keep from being left behind in the darkness.
Be ready to run. Don't get left behind.
Then he darts forward and launches the light directly at the prowler. It makes a snarling hiss as it retreats defeated back into the black waters. None of us waste even a second looking back. We push forward. I race across the bridges, desperately trying to keep the guide's light edge figure in clear sight. I run as fast as I can possibly manage without slipping on the boards. We run across the entire way, spurred on by the shoreline rapidly approaching. Miraculously, I feel my feet plunge onto dirt. I stumble forward, nearly collapsing onto the ground while trying to catch my breath. It feels as though I've come out of a long dream. We made it.
Thank God. Oh, thank God.
I rest there quietly for a few moments, taking time to allow my breathing and emotions to settle down. Finally, I look up from my lap and see Bamil standing ahead of me. Both our eyes are flowing with tears. Bamil walks over and sits down on the dirt nearby. He gazes deeply into my eyes with a gentle smile gracing his lips. No words need to be exchanged between us to know what the other is thinking. I'm glad for it because I'm not sure I would be able to speak even if I needed to. The sound of sloshing and wood lurching captures our attention as the bridges begin to sink. In a few moments, only the lonely docks are left. With that, the guide walks towards me.
It is time to leave this place. There is nothing left for you here.
Upon being addressed by him, I raise my feet. He has a calm look on his face, though there is a force behind his serenity. I open my mouth in an attempt to speak, however, I quickly realize I have no idea what to say. Do I thank him for this? Should I give him my trust? Was our survival because of him or despite him? Even now I cannot know for certain. And then the fog is removed from my thoughts. After everything that has happened, it becomes clear. I hardened my face to match his serious disposition. There is something he is certainly right of. This lake isn't a place to linger. Going around and around in circles will never help. We cannot submit our lives or our minds to Sinlos. For better or for ill, there is only one person who can help those once they are within its grasp, the guide. If he were removed, the place would be no safer. What I must do if I truly want to defend others is to keep them from coming here at all. When I return to my village, I intend to make that information acutely known to our elder. For that to happen, we must leave.
Goodbye.
His eyes narrow as he looks over me. I begin to feel uncomfortable under his scrutiny, but for a moment I could swear I noticed him smiling slightly. However, it could easily be a trick of the morning sun. I look away to face Bamil, not wanting to get caught up in this any longer.
Bamele, we're leaving.
He lifts his head at my voice and grins through though his expression quickly sours into a frown. He shows no eagerness to move forward and keeps his distance. He still feels regret that it is only us who are leaving. I empathize greatly with him, knowing that feeling is one we will never escape from, even after this lake is far behind us. However, he manages to weakly smile again.
Those words are music to my ears. Let's head out.
Emil walks towards the forest without even acknowledging the guide. That is for the best on the whole. We must get away from here. It saddens me to think Bamil doesn't even have the strength to become angry. Though perhaps he had an epiphany about this lake in the same way that I did. We will be able to discuss that on another occasion. Despite the firmness I so intently tried to have, my heart starts to waver. Margaret, Lou, they're both still here. I wish to give them a proper farewell. I want to do something. My eyes begin to water and I almost turn back around. No, it is done. I need to remember that. They would never want me to ascribe their lives to Solness. Nothing would disgrace their memory more. I will keep them in my thoughts without allowing the lake to poison me. With my steadfastness truly regained, I march into the light with no hesitation. With a solemn heart, I at last arrived at Helmer. They were grateful to see me, for it was a desperate situation indeed. The urgency met that my mind was occupied with other matters. I worked tirelessly to aid Helmer's own guards in forcing back the brigaders. But during the moment of calm and when the sun went down, I remembered the lake. Bamil was a great help during the fight. His outwardly positive demeanor lifted the spirits of many around him, but I could see from the shadows in his eyes that he hadn't forgotten what we went through. Nor could I miss the distance that had grown between us. He spoke fewer words to me, and I never gave him many either, yet he seemed stronger than I had seen before. I will admire his will. When receiving payments for his service, the guide must give a report of all those who have both succeeded and failed to cross the lake. The name and fate of Margaret soon became known in Helmer. I added that she was an intelligent, thoughtful person and urged them to show respect for her passing. I hope that one day I will have the opportunity to go to her hometown and give my own proper respects. I was finally able to learn the name of the stranger we met on the bridge as Lou. As the guide predicted, he did not survive. He had requested to cross and been denied. He must have been truly desperate to attempt the crossing alone. I can only pray that those who cared for him will learn the truth of what happened. I have not heard nor seen the guide since then. He will remain obscured in that realm of fog and fear, a mysterious life off in the distance, and that is ever out of reach of the real world. I worry about when I must return home to my usual life. It will be difficult to continue as things were before. One thing I know for certain is that my village elder must be told that no one is to cross Sinlos again. I have already told Helmer leaders the same. Not a single more person should have to experience what we did. Its darkness will remain with me for the rest of my days. Though so much was lost, I try to believe that our lessons will keep others from suffering the same way, and in the end, something will be gained. Yes. Seems like it. Achievement unlocked. Pain. Maybe this is just one ending? I don't know. But, I mean,